Okay, let's talk about what happened. How did this whole thing in Syria happen? Well, you have to go back. Go back. Peter Thiel gets Bush in the White House. His company Palantir is created in 2000. But before that, man's born in Frankfurt, Germany, and I haven't looked further into whether his parents were Americans or not, but he, being as smart as he is, gets brought into the government through the CIA, where he started PayPal, and he's shown the invasion of the first invasion of Iraq, where Bush Sr. was the president. So they invade over the lies that Saddam was invading Kuwait for their oil. Iraq has their own oil. Yeah, they don't need Kuwait. This was a lie. And this was more of a skirmish than really a war, because Iraq really didn't have the means to fight us. Like, they didn't have the force that we had at the time. So it's more of a skirmish. So as the thing is going on, Bush tells the Iraqis, if you stand up to Saddam Hussein, we will have your back. We'll be there for you. Then all of a sudden, they pull out. The Iraqis stand up to Saddam, we will leave, and these people suffered. And Bush later admitted his biggest mistake was abandoning the people of Iraq. I think the other was going in. I don't think he really wanted to go into Iraq. I think that he was convinced by the CIA that they had to invade because Saddam Hussein was going to. No, it was all a lie. And Benjamin Mikowitz, aka Benjamin Netanyahu, that fucking clown, he was also involved in the lie about Iraq trying to invade Kuwait. Why would they? Then we get to Bush. Okay, 2000 was when Palantir came into existence. This is really where things are going to start kicking off. Okay, 9/11, they need to invade Iraq. This is all part of a bigger plan. So they want to topple Saddam Hussein. They know Iran ain't going to come to Saddam Hussein. They know they have Turkey. They know they have, of course, Israel. They know they have Saudi Arabia. They have Qatar. They have United Emirates. They have Jordan. So Iraq is all by itself. Like I said, Iran is not going to get involved. They don't like Saddam Hussein. They're on different sides. So Saudi Arabia knows about it. Iran doesn't know. So they had no clue. But all these other countries knew what was going to happen. Israel flew the planes in the towers. They were the ones who were the hijackers, not a bunch of Arabs. Osama bin Laden had gone to American school. So the Americans, like Hillary Clinton, Obama, all these politicians had met his family. They knew Osama bin Laden's family. He was a rich kid, part of one of the rich Saudi families. He'd come to America. He spoke perfect English. I mean, yeah, this guy's well educated. So when they decide to do 9/11, they pay Osama bin Laden to play his part and say that Al Qaeda, yeah, because he did serve in Al Qaeda in Afghanistan to get, helping the Americans get rid of the Soviets. Yeah, so he was and did go into Afghanistan, and he was in Al Qaeda. But here, Al Qaeda is willing to take credit for 9/11, so he plays his part and tells America, and basically, he's right when he said, we don't have to attack you again. You will betray yourself. And we did. We allowed Bush to suspend habeas corpus. Yes, Bush did that, not Obama. Obama didn't restore it, neither did Trump or Biden. And it's gone. Habeas corpus is gone. This is why why the police don't have to read the Miranda rights. Everybody forgets Bush was the one that started the torture program. Obama continued it. So, yeah. And so they did 9/11. And they either detonated charges or thermite to cause the towers to collapse. Sorry about that. And so then Colin Powell lies to the UN and says, Saddam has weapons of mass. If Saudi Arabia attacked us, why did we invade Iraq? That should have been a clue that told you Saudi Arabia had nothing to do with 9/11. They knew about it, but they didn't get involved. So the whole thing was a lie. So they invade. They know things, they don't realize what they're up against. They're up against, not just, you know, the Iraqi military this time. There's other people who hate them, that don't like America being there. So they come up against this resistance when they invade Iraq. They get rid of Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein, they kill him. But then they go into Afghanistan, and that will become a clusterfuck on its own. Which they never really cared about Afghanistan. In the end, they didn't really care because Trump and, they cared about that military base, but they used it to torture people, and basically they killed Pat Tillman. Because why? Because people were getting weary of the war. We were basically we got exposed for torturing these people in Iraq and Afghanistan and killing a cab driver who did nothing wrong except for drive people around. Then Pat Tillman, because his brother was going to join, went over there and they friendly fire. They murdered this man. And how we know they did, because they used him to get people to go, oh yeah, the war. Pat Tillman joined because his brother was joining. He didn't want his brother to be alone. So he quit the NFL and joined. He became a martyr for the Bush administration to use him. His family was pissed off. They sued the government to get all the information what happened. And there was a documentary about it. And at his funeral, all these celebrities, Schwarzenegger, his wife, who didn't even know Pat Tillman, showed up. His brother drunk off his ass, said, why are you people here? You didn't know my brother. So Pat Tillman was used to get people to believe in the war again. Because everything had turned. People had seen all the bodies and caskets and realized, oh, this is not going well. Plus, we're killing a lot of innocent people. Women, children. None of these people did anything to us. We're the bad guys in this. Kind of like in Vietnam. So they, and basically, here's where the next part of the plan, they've been planning to start to take effect. But Obama is president, and they hear that Osama bin Laden's in Tora Bora. This is where Pat Tillman dies, under Obama, not Bush. I think it was Obama. But yeah, they think they're going to get him, but what happened was Iran, I think what happened was Osama bin Laden called home and said, hey, I need to, but Iran got their hands on him. So they bring him into Iran, they put him in jail, and then you can go listen to the conversation between Joe Biden's brother and the Iranians, where they promised to hand him over in Pakistan. That was never going to happen, because why? Because Gaddafi had warned Iran that the U.S. planning to use Al-Qaeda, because Hillary Clinton had sold a cache of rocket launchers to Al-Qaeda that they were going to use to invade to invade Iran. So Gaddafi warns them. They get word that Gaddafi warned. This is why the embassy, okay. So what happens? When they get there, because Hillary and Obama have met Osama bin Laden, when they go there, his wife comes out, I think she says in Farsi, that's not my husband. They kill him, and this is when you see a look on the picture of Hillary. She looks horrified, because they realize that's not Osama bin Laden, and only one member, and he's the only one still alive, said that we got Osama bin Laden. The others stayed quiet. As a father said, when his son came home, he was part of Team SEAL 6. He said, I can't tell you, because he could tell his son something was bothering him. He couldn't tell him because he knew what happened. What happens, they go back to Afghanistan on a much bigger helicopter, and they're shot down by a rocket launcher from a cache sold to Al-Qaeda by Hillary Clinton, where it turns out the receipt was in the embassy. So they used Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they tried to blame it on Iran, which it wasn't Iran, and they attacked the embassy. When the ambassador, who was ironically, the people of Libya love this guy. He's very friendly. Even Gaddafi likes the guy. He gets along with everybody in Libya. Nobody has a problem. Even Iran likes the guy. He's very likable. He's one of the few Americans as an ambassador who gets along in the area. So he's in the embassy. He knows this is an Iran attack, and he tells, he's calling up, and he's called Hillary begging for help and saying, hey, I think Al-Qaeda, he's telling them that they're trying to say that it was Iran. He goes, no, this isn't Iran. This is Al-Qaeda and ISIS. They're attacking us. And he begs for help, and they don't bother. They hang up on him. And so he's killed so that they can use it to get rid of Gaddafi, because Gaddafi warned Iran of America's attempt to overthrow their government. Yes. Well, you know that bunch of money they gave that they claimed was for a bunch of helicopters? Nope, it was blackmail. See, when Team SEAL 6 was killed, Iran knew that they didn't get Osama bin Laden because they had set up a trap, and America walked right into it. Osama bin Laden was never in Pakistan. Well, they got him when he was in Tora Bora, but they lied. So when they killed the other members, because they were worried that besides the one that said, yeah, we killed, they were worried the others would talk, so they killed them. Well, Iran knew this, and they blackmailed the Obama administration, and that's what all that money was for. It was money they owed Iran, and so they basically, and they paid it off to keep Obama from anyone learning the truth about the phone call, and the fact that they had basically, omitted, that the truth that they killed seems to cover up the fact that everything else. They knew they didn't get Osama bin Laden, so that was all a lie. So that all makes sense when you start looking at it. So their plan, this is, Palantir's been planning this out. So, and then the nuclear deal was Iran was never going to build nukes. Obama had hacked Iran's nuclear program and pushed it back several years. This is true. He admitted to this. So while that's going on, they plot October the 7th. Because this is really about their ultimate goal is destruction of Syria. Why? To separate Hezbollah from Iran. So while they're doing that, they plot October the 7th. And of course, they've created Hamas from Palestinians to undermine the PLO. They murdered Arafat. Yes. Of course, they poisoned him, and Abbas took part in that poison because Arafat did not accept the deal. And Bill Clinton lies his ass off about this. The reason Arafat didn't, because it definitely was not a deal that could have been, because it would not have guaranteed a Palestinian state. And, and basically, Israel was never going to accept it because it means recognizing a two-state, because even Palestine, Hamas was, the PLO were willing to give up some of the West Bank to Israel as long as they could recognize Palestine two-state solution. And Arafat was on board, but no, Israel wasn't. And when they changed it and they said, no, this is what we want to still control Gaza, he said no. That's why he walked away. So Bill Clinton's an absolute fucking liar on that. But go back. So their plan, and if you slowly watch what happens, all this other stuff goes on. BRICS, he's plotted. We already know Russia and China have been working together. So what do? You plot BRICS. You sanction them, boom, boom, boom. You start the war in Ukraine. Why? Why do you overthrow the government? To get Russia over there. Keep them in Ukraine. You can't let this war end. Why? You'll see what happened. Okay, Russia's over here. You plot October the 7th. Yes, you tell Hamas, you convince Hamas, hey, you need to do this. This will help end the war. They tell them, if you invade and take these hostages, Israel will agree will end this thing. That was all a lie. What happens? Hamas does this, and what happens? Israel destroys Gaza. It kills a lot of people. World sees the genocide, ICC, all that stuff, all part of this plan. Blinken just says they're all giving scripts, so none of these idiots planned anything. Then what happens? Hezbollah gets involved. Well, that they've already plotted the pager attack. What happens? Hungary, under Orban, gets with Mossad, and they create a fake company where they're going to order these, and they get message that to Lebanon, to Hezbollah, that they need to change out their equipment because Israel's listening on them. So this is why they don't have cell phones. So what they do is they get with this Taiwanese Israeli company that's aligned itself with Israel, and Motorola is, but they did not. They sold the license to this company up front for Mossad in Hungary, and Hungary knew all about this, and they get the license. Motorola did not know anything about what was going on. They just, like they said, they sold they're pro-Israeli. So the whole pager thing was all planned. What? Why? because then they can kill. And what happened? They blew up these pagers, and you had a bunch of psychopaths going, clap and everything. I got banned from Twitter for saying, hey, you know this can be done to you, and I said, fuck Israel. I can't wait till Iran destroys it. I thought that was coming. I really thought they were going to just, no, I was wrong. I didn't actually peer into Peter Thiel's mind, but then I realized, oh, I see what's going on. And so they do that, and then what happens? They get all the leadership, and they're listening in. Israel's listening in. They notice the leadership. The whole leadership gets into their bunker. What happens? They send one of our bunker buster bombs and kills the leadership. Hezbollah is not done, but they're weakened. They kill the leader of Hamas, who happened to have been born there, but that doesn't stop Hamas. They still have these hostages, 100, I think, still alive after, won't go into all the other, I've already talked about that before. So this weakening Hezbollah agrees to a ceasefire. That's when it's unleashed. Erdogan told to invade So the invasion happens of Syria. What happens? Assad and his family head to Russia. No one knows he's even in. He's obviously not thinking about his country because his wife's sick. She's got cancer or something, and so he's thinking about his wife, and he's not focused on the invasion by these terrorists from Turkey and Israel, America, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, United Emirates, France, England, we're all involved in this. Egypt, of course, Turkey, they're all involved in this terrorist attack, invasion, of Syria. So while, and the military has not been paid very well. It's been 10 years of this shit going on. They're worn down. They're not being paid. They've had their food. These people are basically starving to death because of the sanctions, America, the oil they're stealing, the food they're stealing. So these people are not strong. In Russia and Iran, and Professor Morandi pointed this out, that Syria is very weak. Russia always said Assad is our ally. How much of an ally is it? Okay, and Orban, I said Orban. Erdogan keeps saying, I want to reconcile with Assad. Knowing Assad's never going to accept. He hates Erdogan since they were friends for a long time. He betrayed that friendship. And he attacked Syria because the West told him to. So Erdogan burned a bridge, and Russia will always side with Erdogan because he controls the Black Sea. This is where Iran needs to be worried. Alliances for Russia are not worth shit. They're our partnership, and this is where everything goes to shit. Assad is Iran. Of course, Turkey pretend they had nothing to do with it. Of course they did. They benefit. They want Syria. So what do? They get together with Erdogan. With Assad. In Russia. They try to. And Iran plays a part in this, and Saudi Arabia is there. So they try to convince him to just reconcile with Erdogan. He refuses. So then they tell him he has to resign. So they do a coup on him and kick him out of office. So he stays in Russia with his family. He's going to be fine. So what happens? Syria falls, and he tells them, okay, hand over power. And Russia got absolutely humiliated. This is a humiliation and now you have Turkey hates Iran. They hate Lebanon. They want Lebanon for themselves. They're working with Israel, but they're not going to allow Israel to create the greater Israel. Erdogan wants to bring the Ottoman. They want their territories that were once a part of the Ottoman Empire. They want the Arabian Peninsula. They want Egypt. They didn't have Iran, but they want Iran. They want all that for themselves. They don't care about Israel. They're using it. This is why Erdogan won. He has Russia around his finger because of the Black Sea. And so alliances don't mean shit when Erdogan basically can betray you as much as Erdogan has. And so he's betrayed him by when the Contra terrorist attack, the terrorists came through Turkey, got part of their money, weapons sent to Ukraine, and boom. He sent weapons to Ukraine. He he sent troops. I think he may have sent troops into Ukraine to help fight the Russians. And I know he's armed them. He sells that oil, cheap oil, to, and I think maybe natural gas from Russia goes right to Israel. And, he uses Azerbaijan, who is aligned with Israel. So, you've got, Armenia being absolutely wiped off the map, the genocide's continuing, and so now you have these, and I agree with Professor Morandi, these factions, these terrorists who all come from, yes, China, the Uyghurs, yes, you have Chechens, separatists, these are people that hate Russia. Yes, the Chechen separatists hate Russia. They tried to take Georgia and make it their own country, and they failed. Then you have these others that, when Turkmenistan and, we're all part of Soviet, they hate Russia. They hate this is why they're doing this. This is a black mark on Russia. And who wins? Erdogan wins. But the problem is that these group factions, because you've got Kurds in there who have been allowed to live in and have become a part of the Syrian people, and they have helped Assad in the past. Even though America funds them, they're really aligned with now they're trapped because nobody can leave. These terrorists will not allow anyone to leave, and they're telling women to come up. Christian women, they're destroying churches, and the Kurds are Christians, and so their lives are threatened, and they've tortured and murdered Kurds that they've captured. This is all true. So nobody wants to come back. Erdogan's like, we're going to send them back. No, they're not going to go back. There's going to be more trying to get the fuck out to go, because this is actually a threat to Lebanon's existence. So you're going to see Lebanon, this migration is going to happen again. And all these people cheering this on. You don't like these people coming to your country, guess what? They're going to keep coming because you've wrecked where they live. Now you have Hezbollah isolated from Iran because you got to remember, you have Israel below Lebanon. Okay, then you have along the east, all the way to the other side, to its north, is Syria. And remember, all this once was a part of Syria. So now Turkey controls Syria. Not America, but Turkey. They're going to allow America to steal the oil, and Russia's going to pull out. They're going to close their base and leave. Because they don't want to have anything to do with these terrorists, these extremists, these jihadi extremists, as they call it. And basically the big loser in this is, the losers are Hezbollah and Iran. Because when it comes down to it, as Alex Christopher said, the Black Sea means more to Russia than fucking Iran. So when basically Putin betrays an ally like he did with Assad, look what happened. This was so perfectly orchestrated. Russia and Iran never saw this coming. They played a part in the coup, getting rid of Assad, that in the end, Syria falls because they tell Assad to walk away. And they played the part. They were the fools. And what happens now? Russia's so busy with Ukraine, they didn't even have time. As Professor Morandi said, there was something off with Assad. Because, yes, Iran did send troops in, but the way he kept changing things, because I think his mind was on his wife. And he wasn't prepared for this. He doesn't have a strong military, corruption, all these problems because of what America's done to Syria. Russia forgot it even existed. And Iran, I know they tried to help, but what can you do? Iraq wasn't going to give up. Hezbollah has been knocked down. They're still trying to recover from, so they're still dealing with Israel. They didn't have time to send anyone in. And things fall apart, and you're not going to, and so Russia betrays Assad. Assad, I think in the end, I don't know whether he still wanted to be in power. I think he's probably, part of him is grateful that he can take care of his wife and not focus on this, because I think if part of me thinks that he just didn't have it in him to be the leader anymore. And the sad thing is the people of Syria are going to suffer for this. And the West acts like, oh yes, a jihadist state will be Syria. And these people may be helping Israel right now. They don't like Israel. These jihadists who helped get rid of Assad, they'll take the money. But in the end, these fuckers are going to turn on each other, and they don't really support Israel. but they're doing it because they're getting paid a lot of money to do it. That's why they did what they did. And these people are not the when you think of like they're the Sharia extremists. They're a religious extremists who think that women should be covered up and all this stuff that isn't in the Quran, by the way. So it's going to be hell on earth for the people of Syria, and and a lot of Armenian Christians are there, a lot of Kurdish Christians. Christians are being absolutely, and the whole we're going to be progressive and everything is a lie. So Putin's going to close base. He doesn't care anymore. He never really cared about Syria. He used it because he had a base there. And I know Russians weren't happy that he put a base there, yet he's letting the terrorists attack Russia. He's not focused on, and now he doesn't have to worry about Syria. And I don't know if he'll even help, because this thing ain't going to end. Trump ain't going to end it. Trump's going to sit back and let this continue, because it's all about keeping Russia busy. See what happens? Syria fell. So the next plan, Lebanon, then Iran. And when Iran falls, now they have everything. And guess what their next plan is? You know what they do next? What do you think their big goal is? To break Russia up. So when they wreck the global economy, which then Palantir will do, then they can seize Russia, and they'll break Russia up in a little. That they've been telling Russia, we are gonna destroy you, and they will achieve their goal. They've proven they're willing to fucking do anything, and no one saw this coming because everyone thought the resistance, and yet Iran didn't. I mean, think about it. What did the resistance do? They watched Gaza and these people get murdered. Lebanon stepped up, but they got absolutely paced by the West. So when everyone thought, the BRICS is going to be there to save our BRICS is falling apart. How can you trust Russia when they will betray their allies for Erdogan? So can you truly trust Putin now? This is a scar on Putin. This will come back to bite him. Who's going to want to trust Russia when they let Assad? He did a coup on Assad. Remember when the Democrats did that to Biden? This was a coup, and they told you they did the coup. They forced Assad out of office. They forced him. They did it. Putin, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Iran did a coup on Assad. His allies abandoned him. Erdogan wasn't his ally, but Russia, Iran, and I guess Saudi Arabia. I know Iran. The people of Syria are going to feel abandoned by Iran, even though Iran did go in. Russia. Who's going to trust Russia in the Arab world now? Can Iran trust that they're going to be there for them? Nope, they shouldn't. This is a loss for the resistance. Russia has shown they don't have your back. When it comes to Erdogan, he can do anything, including terrorism on Russia, and Putin will turn the blind eye because Erdogan controls the Black Sea. When you have power and leverage, you can make even Putin bend the knee, and that's what's happened. Erdogan's the one in control, not Israel, not the West when it comes to Russia. It's Erdogan. He has all the power against Putin, and he knows it. Putin knows it. The Black Sea to the Mediterranean runs through Turkey, and Turkey can shut Russia off. So they're going to allow this war. It's all about Turkey getting what they want. And Erdogan is pissed. He is pissed at Putin because when he brought Assad into the league, and he didn't involve Turkey, Turkey felt abandoned by Putin. He did. Or Assad felt abandoned by Putin when he was aligned himself with Assad, and he didn't even have Assad sit down with Erdogan and Iran and everything. He felt that the Arab countries had forgotten Turkey existed. He felt abandoned by Russia, so he's making Russia suffer. He's pissed at Putin, and he's making Putin suffer. He's losing his he just lost his military bases in Syria. He has no other military base over there. And this thing's going to end with Iran falling. And then he'll lose everything. Because when Iran falls, Saudi Arabia ain't going to stick with Russia, seeing what just happened. Do you think Saudi Arabia, that's why they didn't join BRICS. If you want to know why, because BRICS is going to collapse. See, this whole thing, de-dollarization, you just saw the colonizers just defeat the resistance. And you didn't even see, I knew it was coming. I mean, at first I thought, yeah, when I initially saw Russia bombing, I said, yeah, they're fighting back. It didn't last long. But this is all part of Peter Thiel's plan. This is going back. Wesley Clark said all these countries, they've toppled. Going back, Libya, got rid of Gaddafi. They murdered him. Obama said, taking orders from Peter Thiel, Palantir, assassinated Gaddafi. He murdered a world leader and got away with it. What happened? Slavery. Libya is a mess. Look what they did in Iraq. They have issues still in Iraq, but the people are somewhat come together against the U.S., and the U.S. is still in there. They're not leaving, even though they've told them to leave. Now they've destroyed Syria, and Lebanon's all alone. They are isolated. There's no way, I don't think Iran can get to them anymore. They had Syria, but because, like Professor Morandi said, Syria was the weakest link. And because there was nobody there to help Syria, knowing what they were going through, I heard Alexander Kripke say that Russia offered current money, to help Syria out, but the guarantee that he wanted was him reconciling with Erdogan. And Assad said no, he turned it down. Same with China. They said, we'll help you build all this, but you have to reconcile with Erdogan. He wouldn't do it. You have to understand, they were friends. Yeah, there's pictures of Erdogan, him and Erdogan's family and Assad's family going on vacation in Turkey. They're in the ocean, the Mediterranean Sea together. They were best of friends till the West got in Assad and Erdogan's ear and told him to stab. That's why Assad didn't want to forgive Erdogan. It was a betrayal. He didn't even apologize for the betrayal. That's why Assad never would forgive him. And Russia can't understand this. Neither can anyone else. And I do understand. I do. I get why Assad would never forgive Erdogan. And Erdogan knew that Assad was never going to forgive him. Now, he can put his pride aside, just say, okay, because Erdogan intended this. This was all part of the plan to basically turn Russia against Assad. And it worked. Have Iran and Turk and have the, Russia brings Syria back into the League of Arab Nations, and then what happens? That was all part of the plan. Then what happens? Now you have Russia betray Assad. Yes, because Putin is so controlled by Erdogan, Erdogan can betray Putin. He'll allow it every time because of the Black Sea. So what happens? The plan is to get Putin to betray one of his oldest allies, Assad, and do it blatantly right in front of not even hiding, and they admit they did it. Have them think that they're actually, but what they really show is the betrayal that Putin does to Assad is in everyone, and they have Turkey there, they have Saudi Arabia, they're letting everyone know. This was so well orchestrated, Putin betrayed one of his oldest allies to his face. He cooed him out of office and let Syria fall. He shows that he never gave a shit about Syria. It was all a goddamn lie. I've never really trusted Putin. Here's the thing. I know why Nick Cruz doesn't, because he's not a communist. See, Nick Cruz of RBM is a communist. He's a proud communist. He doesn't like Putin because Putin's a capitalist. He's not a communist. He doesn't give a shit about Russia. Putin cares about himself, making money. Moscow, St. Petersburg, and some of the places he wants you to see, but the people in Siberia, which is in Asia, above Mongolia and China, is the poorest part of Russia where all the resources come from, and he don't give two shits about those people. They live in poverty, and they live a hard life. This is why the Indians of the Americas, that's where they originated, in Siberia, before it was ever part of Russia. When Russia wasn't even a country, Siberia was just an area. It was not part of, and I think China originally thought that it was a part of China. This is why Russia and China had an argument for a long time, because China claimed it as theirs, and Russia said no, and threatened to invade China over Siberia. But then China realized, they realized they, at the time, could not take Russia on, so they gave up. But they've always considered Siberia part of China. They don't like the fact that Russia has it, because Russians aren't Asians. They're Slav, but they're Europeans. And so, yeah, this, but, that gets off the point. This is the downfall of Russia. And Russia's betrayal, it's a black mark. It shows that when it comes down to it, Putin will always choose Erdogan over everyone else. If, let's say, an issue came up with Erdogan in China, Erdogan has the power to control Russia. And what happens? He would betray China. Xi. Putin, if Erdogan told Putin to quit doing business, or he'll lose, if he does business with China, he'll lose out. He won't be able to use Black Sea. Putin would betray Xi in a heartbeat, because he did. What does China have on Russia? Nothing. They buy it. Yes, they buy the oil, they buy the natural gas, but they don't have leverage. Erdogan does. Erdogan's the one guy that can destroy bricks. Yes, and America knows this. Palantir knows this. That's why they're glad they have him in NATO. And Erdogan doesn't want to join BRICS. He wants to destroy. He hates Putin. Putin betrayed Erdogan. When he brought Assad in and Syria, he felt betrayed by that. So he's willing to destroy Russia. That's why he sends weapons to Ukraine. He wants to watch Russia fall. The betrayal Erdogan feels towards Putin is beyond measure. You know how Assad felt betrayed, and he wouldn't, and Erdogan understands that betrayal. That's why he knew Assad would never forgive him. Erdogan fucking hates Russia for the betrayal of choosing Syria over Erdogan, even though Erdogan has let them use the go through Turkey to get to the Mediterranean Sea. They've never stopped that. But when he brought Assad in the League of Arab Nations, never once sat Assad and Erdogan down to get them to talk over, and finally work out their problems, Erdogan felt betrayed by the Arab world. This is why he sides with Israel. He fucking hates these people. He hates the betrayal of Iran, who's never really been Iran, Saudi Arabia, all these countries. Why? Because of the betrayal. He feels betrayed by the Arab world when they accepted Assad, and they seem to turn their back. This is what's going on in Erdogan. This is why he's betraying Russia. And he knows Russia ain't going to stop turning their back on him. Erdogan has leverage, something America doesn't have. This is why Erdogan's in NATO. His plans align with America to destroy Russia. He absolutely pretends, you think when he goes to Russia he's cowering to Putin? No. He's reminding Putin, I control the Black Sea. So Putin has to choose Erdogan over Assad. He's going to choose Erdogan over Iran. He'll choose Erdogan over China. He'll choose Erdogan over Greece. He'll choose it over fucking everyone else. That is the fucking fact you have to face with Erdogan. He controls the Black Sea. He has all the power and leverage, and fucking this is why when they were asked about what happened, why this went down, this is why why Lavrov, I think, blew up and got mad. Russia cannot answer why they didn't stop what happened in Syria. They can't answer it, because then they expose themselves to the frauds that they are. They're no one's ally except for Erdogan's. And Erdogan knows this. And the West knows it. Now they have Putin where they want him. They know that when it comes down to it, he won't have Iran's back. See, this is the genius of Palantir. They tested everything. This is what Peter Thiel does. And everyone thinking Blinken, all them, no, these idiots wouldn't be able to wipe their ass without someone telling them how to do it. And Erdogan's not that smart, but he is a vengeful asshole. And Israel isn't smart enough to figure this. Palantir did. And they just give out. And, Trump saying he's going to end the war in Ukraine, he won't end it, because it means that Russia can go to Iran's aid. If they're going to take down Iran, they need Russia still focused on Ukraine. That's why the war won't end. So all the people are like, Trump says bullshit. He's not ended it. He already knows. This is all bullshit. It's like, the guy who's coming in, that Rich Patel, I think the guy says he's going to be the FBI, and the FBI head director works under the Attorney General. Who's going to be the new Attorney General? Pam Bondi. That bitch is fucking evil. Matt Gaetz would have been great. He would try to clean up but Pam Bondi is a Zionist, racist piece of shit who will fucking go after. Oh, and Kash Patel said he wants to arrest journalists. He talks Israel first. The guy's a Zionist from fucking India. Like most Indians, like Moby, they're total Zionists. The Hindus. So yeah. So this guy, I'm going to do this and this. He works under fucking Attorney General. The Attorney General controls the Justice Department, which involves the CIA, the FBI, the ATF, all that. Homeland Security, all that stuff. And only the FBI, only the Attorney General can decide to go after somebody and send the FBI. They have to get permission to go into a state. Attorney General decides who to prosecute, not the president. The president can recommend, but it's the Attorney General has all the power, not the president, not the director of the FBI. You're not going to take down the deep state, so you can fuck off on that. I tell people this and they go, oh, you have shit takes. This plan was so well orchestrated, no one, not even the smartest people, still see where this is going. Iran's going to fall. I said it, that they were all out to destroy. This was all going to lead with, this was, oh no, no, he won't. This was never about ending the war. This was about war with Iran, to destroy Iran. Peter Thiel, Palantir, wants to destroy Russia's allies. This is why they're going to push for China to leave Russia. Why do you think they did this? Why do you think they made Putin betray Assad? They are showing the world, when it comes down to it, Russia will always betray their ally for fucking Erdogan. And they are going to push hard for China to leave Russia. As much as they say they want war with China, the real truth is, they want China to capitulate and walk away from Russia. That's why the betrayal happened. They're showing China, you can't. Russia's not your real ally. They try to tell them, this is what they've been saying for years to China. Don't trust Russia. Everyone tried to warn China. Russia's not your ally. They will stab you in the back. And look what's happened to Assad. This was all orchestrated to show that Russia has no one's back. So all this, alliance, Putin he's your ally. Putin just stabbed one of his oldest allies in the back, in the front, right to his face, cooed him out of office, and let Syria fall. He don't give a shit about Syria. He never cared about. He won't care about Iran. Oh, we're okay. I have no problem with Iran. I think the people are. I've never been there, but I think the people are nice. But I would ask this question. I think Professor Morandi probably would come up with the same conclusion. Putin only cares. He cares more about Erdogan because of the Black Sea than he does anything else. He needs the Black Sea. He doesn't need Iran. He'll use Iran like he is, say, oh, we're allies, but look what he just did. And Iran just saw the betrayal of Assad. They stood by and let it happen too. The Saudi Arabia, Iran. Erdogan was never Assad's ally after he betrayed him. So Iran, Turkey, think about it. Iran and Saudi, I think Saudi might have been there. I know Iran was there. I know Turkey was there. Erdogan never intended. He knew that Assad wouldn't. And Russia, what happened? Turkey watched Iran and Russia, especially Russia, coup Assad out of office. And what happened? Iran fell. Iran now cannot help Hezbollah. How are they going to get weapons to them? They can't. Even Iraq can't help Hezbollah now. Hezbollah's going to collapse. The government that's there, that's controlled by the West, that's the government. Hezbollah is considered, except for by Muslims, a terrorist organization. What happens? These terrorists in Syria are going to invade, and they're going to get rid of Hezbollah. That's what they're there to do. They're get rid of Hezbollah. The government will cave in a second, and Erdogan will take it part of Syria. And you forget that the buffer zone. They don't have to worry. Turkey, they have Golan Heights. That's as far as fucking Erdogan's going to allow. It depends on if Erdogan allows them to continue to take from Syria. He probably won't. He'll probably tell Israel that's all you get. The rest is ours. Because these are he's controlling Syria. He'll decide how much beyond Golan Heights that goes to Israel. Because they're aligned right now, but I wouldn't trust Erdogan. Yeah. So all this stuff with what happened to Assad was done so that everybody in the world, China and all Russia's allies, know now he has no allegiance to you. Putin just betrayed one of his oldest allies and friends to his face. He kicked him out as president of Syria and let it fall. He walked away, washed his hands of it. Iran, I know they try to help, but what can you do when the leader is basically, his mind isn't even in it? Yeah. And Iraq wasn't going to come in because they saw the Syrian military had no way to win. So they said, fuck it, we're not getting involved. So it fell. And now it's under a bunch of terrorists. So there, and you know who won? Erdogan. You know who also won? America. We won. Yes. We destroyed the resistance. Yes, I remember when so many people said, oh, this is the beginning of the multipolar world. You just watch the fucking multipolar world start to collapse. I told you, next year BRICS will collapse. Putin and Xi didn't create BRICS. It was fucking Palantir. They plotted this shit. This is the most psycho shit I've ever seen. And it's been plotted for a long time. Somebody, you start looking like I do, and it's not a rabbit hole. It's a fucking gaping hole of fucking evil to get to right here that no one saw coming. No one saw this coming. Russia didn't see it. It's a black eye in Russia. It makes Russia look weak when they betray their friend. When Putin betrayed Assad right to his face with Iran there, this should have been a message to Iran. Russia does not have your back. He betrayed him for that terrorist Erdogan. Why? Because of the Black Sea. That means more to Putin than fucking Iran and all the other. China don't mean shit to Russia. Oh, they sell them oil and natural gas. But in the end, Putin would stab Xi in the fucking front for if Erdogan said you have to cut ties with China or you lose it. Guess what happens? They are separated. China is cut off from Russia. That would happen. So everything, Erdogan wins. He controls Russia. They will never stand opposed to him. And what Erdogan's revenge? He just got Russia to stab Syria in the front, abandoned them because of the Black Sea, access to the Black Sea, to the Mediterranean. That's all Erdogan. He controls Russia. No other country has the ability to control Russia like Erdogan does. The guy's a fucking terrorist, a piece of shit, evil as fuck, and Russia will never stand opposed to him. Doesn't matter if it's China, North Korea, Russia has just proven they have no real allegiance to any of their allies, except for Erdogan. Erdogan can literally commit a terrorist attack, and he has, on Russia. Russia will still stand with Erdogan. They're never going to betray that. They'll allow Erdogan to do whatever he wants and stand with him. So, yeah. So, this whole thing was well orchestrated years in advance. And now you've seen it culminate, and it's going to end with the fall of Iran. Iran, yeah, they're isolated. Russia's not coming your aid because of that war still going on in Ukraine. They just showed you, Iran, we're not on your side. When it comes down to it, we're on Erdogan's side. We're basically in this for ourselves. Yeah. So this is Gilgamesh. I will talk to you later. Bye.